Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to the last video of your home practice exercise number 5. So this is Deepak Sharma again, and we're gonna wrap up the exercise we started. So just a recap what we have done so far in this exercise from step 1 to step 25. We set up the general ledger, we created a new company, we set up the ledger, we created a new fiscal year which is 2020, and we set up the chart of accounts, and next part we did was we set up the bank account, and then we set up the sales taxes for Ontario at a 13% HST. So once all these things were set up, I'm continuing from exercise 25 where we left in the last video. So you set up the tax code. Now what you see there is, in this company we have common services, bank, and taxes. Then we have a general ledger. So the last part of this exercise is accounts payable. So in this exercise what you're trying to do is you are going to activate the accounts payable module. So before I activate it, what I'm going to do is assume that I came back after a week, and now this is 11th January. I'm going to open up the company and I'm going to change the session date to 01. What I'm doing is I'm changing it to 11/2020. Oh, I selected the wrong company, which is not what I want. I want the same company, which is the quick meals, and the session date 01/11/2020. Once the session date is changed, you come back to the same place. Now what we're going to do is we're going to activate the accounts payable module, and we go here, that activation, proceed, activate the accounts payable, next, and activate. Now your accounts payable module is activated, and you see it right here. So now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go look at the accounts payable setup. So we're going to go under the options. You guys have done accounts payable, so I'm pretty sure you will be comfortable in this. And here you will put the company name, the contact number, and then you look at the processing, and everything here is going to leave as default. We're not going to change anything. And then come to transaction, we leave everything as default, and we're going to select the default bank account as TD checking. We only have one bank account, so it doesn't matter. Default payment, we're going to leave it as a check as well. And then numbering, we're going to leave it as default because we're a brand new company. We leave everything to start with 1 and click save. In the next part, what we're going to do is we're going to create account sets. So in the exercise, in the chapter with the Omni Electronics, you have 4 different account sets that you created for accounts payable. In this case, we're only going to divide the suppliers between the takeout suppliers and the dining suppliers. You may not need to. If you're working in a company, you can manage to create only a one group. But in this case, just for you to illustrate that you can create 2 different groups, what I decided that we're going to create 2 different account sets. One is going to be TCAN, which is the takeout suppliers. Okay, and then we are going to use the same payable account, which is the account, I forgot the number of that account that we created. Let's see, from here is accounts payable is 2500. And then the reason that I'm putting it 2 separate, because we have 2 different cost of sales account. We have a different cost of sales for the takeout. So here we're going to select the cost of sales takeout, and we still use the same payable for a prepayment. Now we're going to do is another set for dining suppliers. And here everything else is going to remain same. The only account that's going to change is the cost of sale for dining, and save it. So we create 2 different account sets, and now we're going to create distribution codes. You can have as many distribution codes. Here I'm only creating 2 codes. One is a cost of sales for the 100, cost of sales for takeout, and this one we're going to link it with 5000 001 account at and then we do cost of sale 2 for take cost of sales dining. This is 02 and add. Okay, so we create two different distribution codes, COS 001, COS 002. Remember the purpose of creating a cost of sales account I mentioned to you guys is when you're recording transaction, you don't need to find the account. You can simply say this is the cost of sales for this department. You simply select the distribution code, it will automatically goes to that particular account. Okay, the next part what I have is creating the terms. So I'm not going to create distribution set, so we're going to skip this one for this exercise. So we're going to go into the terms. We're only going to create two different terms, net 30 days. So this is the one that's due in 30 days. So all we need to do is just mention that this is due in 30 days. Then we're going to create another one, 210 net 30. So this one we're going to say 2% discount on 10 days. So then you're going to say calculate the base discount with the tax excluded. Included? No, it's going to be excluded. You don't give discount on the taxes. So, and when do you want the discount to start from the invoice date? So here we're going to say it's due in 30 days. You get a 2% discount. It's paid in 10 days. Okay, and that's what we say. So now we have two different terms, net 30 and 210 net 30. And close it. Okay, so once the setup is done, we will go into the two accounts payable vendors. Okay, now what we're going to do in the next two steps is we're going to create the vendor groups and vendor profile. So we're going to create two different vendor groups. One we're going to create for ECAN, which is the, not ECANs, this is actually, no, TCAN, take out Canadian vendors. We're going to call this takeout suppliers, and we're going to use these account sets that we created for TCAN. The term is going to keep it net 30 for everybody, and we're going to use the same bank account, and we're going to pay everybody by check. Under the invoicing, if you know that this is the supplier, that's going to go into the distribution codes, because these suppliers I'm going to buy the cost of sales for takeout only, and the taxes is Ontario. We're going to leave everything as default. Then I'm going to create another one. I'm going to do that is DCAN, and that will be dining suppliers, and the group here we're going to change it to DCAN. Everything else is going to remain same. Now the distribution code for this suppliers is going to be COS 02, still Ontario taxes. Add. Okay, so now you have two different groups of suppliers that we added. Now in the next exercise, you guys are required to create two different vendors. So we're going to create one. You can assign a number to it. First one we're going to create is a Gordon Food Services, and we will assign a group that this is related to the dining suppliers. This is where we're going to buy the food from. If you have the business number for this client, you can put that right here. We're going to skip that. And contact information, this is the contact information for that supplier. See, everything that you set up in the previous in this group is already selected here. If you want to change it, you can change, but we're going to leave it as default. The credit limit that we are given from this supplier is 20,000. Invoices, again, everything that you had in that group is already selected here. Then you create another one is going to make this 2,000, and we're going to make this is a Costco Business Center. And now this supplier, what we do is we buy the stuff for the takeout. Oops. And this one, I select the supplier as TCAN. And if you have the vendor information, you put that right here. That's the contact information for the vendor. Now the processing everything will change to whatever you have right here as the takeout, and then in processing, and this receipt, this is cost of sale takeout. And then the last information was the credit limit that we given for this supplier is only 5,000. We will select that one right here and click add and close it. Okay, now you added 2 suppliers, and once you have the suppliers added, you're good to record transactions. So now what I want you to do is I want you to change the session date to January 31st. Now you're coming to the end of the month and you're given a transaction that happened during the month, and you are going to record them. So first you're given the 3 transactions, January 15th, 20th, and 25th. So you guys can read through it. I'm just going to simply record them. The first 3 transactions that you have is they are invoices. So what you're going to do with those ones is you're going to record them under the AP transactions. So we're going to go under the AP transaction, and these are 3 different places for you to record. And the first transaction we have is you picked up the patio furniture. So now what you're going to do is we're going to go into the invoice batches, and we're going to record them right here. So there are 3 transactions that are given. We're going to look at 1 transaction at a time. So these transactions are going to get recorded into the invoice. So you bought patio furniture from Costco for $10,000 plus HST. So that means that's going to go under the invoice batches. That's an invoice. So you're going to click a new batch, and we're going to call this as January invoices, and the vendor is Costco. And what are we buying? So it's an invoice, and we're going to put the date January 15, and we're going to put the document number 1 2 3 4 5 6, and the document total is 10,000 plus the HST. So that means 10,000. So 11,300. And what did we buy? We bought the furniture. So it's not the cost of sale, that's a furniture. So we had to post that amount into the furniture account. So you have to change that to the furniture. So we can remove the distribution code, is not relevant for this transaction. And here we can put a description is a patio furniture. And the amount is, so the bottom amount is always pre-tax, so it's 10,000 right here. And then the next part that you can do is you can look at the terms. So taxes is Ontario, is calculated right. The terms, you negotiated a term with the 210 not 30. Okay, and then you click add. Now this invoice is added. Then you go into the second transaction. You order the food from Gordon Food Services, 5,000 plus HST. Invoice number 5001. Cost of food need to be split between both the department, 40% and 60%, and you have to make a deposit of $1,500 for the food. So you're buying the food, but that requires you to make a prepayment as well. So there's 2 transactions here. One is the recording of invoice, and this is for Gordon Services, and this is the invoice that's happening on 20th of January. And the document number here is 5001, and the amount is 5,000 plus the HST, which is 5,650, and the amount has to be split between 2 different departments at 60 and 40 and 60. So 40% for drinks, which is going to cost of sale for takeout. So 40% of $5,000 is 2,000. And that 2,000 is going into the distribution code for 100. Okay, then you're going to go press the insert to go into the second line and select the distribution code COS002, and that is 60% of 5,000 is 3,000, and that goes right there. Okay, so once you finish recording that, you go into the taxes. Is Ontario, that's fine. Now we're going to look at it. What is the term for this? the term they didn't mention, so that means it is gonna be exactly what we have, which is right here, the net 30, and then the total is 5,000 plus 650. There's no zero undistributed amount, and click add. So you recorded the invoice, then at the same time you have to record a prepayment. So therefore you have to go back here, record a prepayment, new invoice and a prepayment, and here you can mention it's a prepayment, and this is January 20th. And we're not gonna say print check because it's already printed and it's already given to, we're not printing the checks from the system, so we will remove the print check, because if you do it, the system gonna force you to print a check, and it does sometimes it create a problem. So always uncheck print check option, and by default it takes the full amount. We can change it to the exact amount that we have, which is 15%. It's not 15%, it's 1500. So there's a typo in the exercise. Is I have a percentage sign that's actually supposed to be a dollar sign, which is 1,500. Check number 1001, and the date for that is also 20th. You click add, and then you can close it. And remember, this prepayment that we just recorded is actually recorded in the payment batches, and we have to go back and post that as well. So we finished with the second transaction, then you're moving into the third transaction. So we're going to move into third transaction right here. And in this one, you bought a dining furniture from Costco as well for $12,000. So we're going to select Costco again, invoice, and the date is 25th. Okay, and the document number is 124578. And the amount is 12,000 plus the HST. So I'm going to use the calculator here. Is 12,000 times 1.13 is 13,560. And again, we bought a furniture, so I have to remove the distribution code and select the account, and I have this as dining furniture, and that amount is $12,000. Okay, now that $12,000, the taxes are there in Ontario, and what is the term we have negotiated is 210 net 30, so we will change the term to 210 net 30 and click add. Okay, so now we recorded all the 3 transactions in the invoices, and there is one transaction that you recorded in the in the payment batches. So I'm not mentioning it here, but I mentioned already in the step is record the following transaction for the month, and I said create and post these transactions. So remember what I told you guys, whenever you're recording transaction, there is 3-step process. One is recording a transaction, second is posting, and third one is printing. So I'm not asking you to print, but I'm asking you to create and post. So now to post this, you're going to say ready to post, to yes, and click post. Now this transaction has been posted. Now you're going to go into the payment batches, and you see this prepayment is there as well. You're going to say ready to post, to yes, and click print and post. So the reason that you print and post is, so if it's check that need to be printed, it will print, and then if it's not printed, it will simply post that transaction. So now we recorded and posted 2 batches, and they were all in separate invoice batches and a payment batch. And then in next step number 16, you sign an engagement letter with the top security company to provide security alarm services, and they will be taking $130 from a bank account effective January 31st. So this is a recurring payment that's going to happen each month. So in that, what you do is you create a recurring entry. So the recurring entry is found under the accounts payable setup. And where is it? It is not here. Okay, so it's under AP periodic percent. That's when you run it. This is your AP setup, options, distribution codes, term, payment, geo setup, selection code is not here. And then comes to AP vendors. Recurring payable is right here under the AP vendors. So we're gonna click on recurring payable, and we can call this is security, and then we're gonna select the vendor, which we don't have it. So we have to create that vendor. Security. So we have to create that vendor before we actually create the recurring entry. So we're gonna go into the vendor profile, and we're gonna simply create that vendor quickly. And we don't need to put all the information. We can just put the company information. The rest of the information will come handy later on. And then we do need to select the group. Now it doesn't matter which group we selected, so we just select whatever we want, because it's technically going into into the same GL account, because we know you're using it for cost of sales. So we created that vendor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a recurring payable, and we will put that into the security. And then we will select the 3000 top supplier, and is a monthly reminder how often it has to be recorded, starting from January 31st. And if it has an expiry, which I'm saying that we're going to renew it every year, so we're going to keep it for December 31st, and we'll come back and revisit this again. And the term is net 30. It doesn't matter, because we are going to record that directly. And here we're going to put the account, which is the account number cost of sales. It's not cost of sales, it's office supplies. So we're going to put office supplies 100 and 200. 100 is 70%, so it's $70. Then we're going to go into the second line. We're going to select 5400,002, and we will put $30, and distributed amount is 100. And go into the taxes. Ontario, we have $13 added up there, and we will click add. Okay, so this is the automatically accounts payable that will be created for you in the system when we run the recurring batches. And now you have to do is just simply create an invoice. It will automatically create it. Okay, so that's how you set up the recurring invoices, the recurring payable. Now what you're going to do in step number 37 is you're going to record the payments. So to record the payments, you go into AP transaction, payment batches. So I always go through a payment batch listing. I'm going to create a new batch, and now there are 3 entries there, and the 3 entries are, first one is entry number 1 is you make a payment to Costco paycheck. So what you're going to do is there's a payment for an outstanding invoice, and you're doing a payment on 25th of January, and it's going to Costco. And this is going by check, so we're going to remove the print check because we have handed out the check 0012. And then to see the outstanding invoices, you click on the arrow. It will list all the invoices, and the invoice that you're paying is 12456. And now there is a discount available, or no, there is a discount available for 200, and this discount taken because automatically takes it. And it shows you your net payment is 11,100, and you don't need to do anything else. You simply click add, and that payment is recorded. Then the next one is you paid a rent of 3,000 plus HST to ABC landlord by check 1003. So this is a miscellaneous payment, and this is for the rent. You don't have to create the vendor because it's a one-time vendor. ABC landlord, you can just put that name there, and again no checks to be printed. So we put the check number here 1003, and the invoice number you can just say Jan 2020, and the tax you have to select the tax as well as Ontario tax, and then you're gonna have to put the code, or you have to select the GL code, GL account, or the distribution code. So we are going to use the rent expense as an account. So we have two accounts. You can either put the full amount of rent, or you put it into the rent takeout with the portion of the discount. So the rent is takeout for 30% of the amount, which is 900. Then you scroll down to the second account, insert, and then you put the second account 5500002, and that is 2100. Okay, so that's 3000 altogether, 30% and 70%. Since I already gave you guys the portion of 30 and 70%, if I don't give you that, then you just put that into a rent full amount, which is 500, and system will automatically do the allocation later on. Once you finish that, you click add, and that takes you to the entry number 3. Entry number 3 is purchase the office supplies from Staples for $500 plus HST paid by check. So in this case, what you're doing is you're going back into the office supplies and recording that. That's also a one-time customer payment, so it's also happening on 31st. It's a miscellaneous payment, it's a cash payment, and we can put the company name as one time Staples, and it's also paid by check, and we put the check number 1004, and then the amount here is invoice number. Did I give you invoice number for this? It's not given. You can just say office supplies, and the amount is 500 plus HST. So you put that amount right, change the Ontario taxes. Again, you have to split that 30 and 70%. So again, we're going to find out the office supplies account, office expense account for 100. 30% of 500 is 150, and then scroll down to the next line 5400002, and that is 70% of 350 is 350, and the total is 500. 65 is the HST, and the total payment is 565, and you click add. That's how you will record these 3 entries. And once the entries are created and you have a batch number 2 with 3 entries equals to 15,500, and what you do is you want to post it, you click right to post yes, and click print and post, and then the entry is posted. If you see the status has been changed from open to posted, and you close it. Now once you finish that, what you're going to do is you're going to run the recurring batches. So for that, what you need to do is you have to go into the AP periodic processing and tell the system to create recurring payables, and you will going to click process. It says one invoice has been created and placed in batch number 2. So the one that batch that you wanted to create for the security has been created. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go into the AP transaction, look at the invoice batch list. You see that the recurring payable has been created, and all you're going to do is write to post from no to yes, and click post. Now that entry has been posted with the sequence number 2. So that was your step number 38, where you are running the recurring payable batches. Now once you finish all that, you recorded all the payments, you recorded all the invoices, you recorded all the payments, and then you run all the recurring batches. You're done with the month end as of January 31st. You want to close everything. You want to make sure there's no batches left open, you can go into the individual badges, see them, they are posted, perfect. And we know there was no adjustment badge, so we don't have to worry about. We can look at the payment badges. There were 2 badges. What is the status for that? Is posted. Great. Now that means I'm good. I can close my accounts payable. So now before I close, I want to print few reports. So the reports that I'd like you guys to print for this exercise is 1, posting journals. So AP transaction reports, posting journals. Now when you do a posting journal, you want to do for invoices and payment, and there's no adjustment, so we don't need to worry about that part. So for invoices, you want to print everything from beginning to the end. You click print. So here is your batch number 1 with 1, 2, and 3 entry. Scroll down to the next page, that batch number 2 with only 1 entry. You want to export it. We click export into a PDF. And then here I'm going to call this is posting journal invoices. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll close this one. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the payment, and there are 2 batches there as well. So post batch 1 to 2. And I told you guys previously I didn't do it, but always do this, reprint previously. So if by chance you printed it before, you want to reprint it again, it won't show up. So it's always better for you to select this option all the time. Click print. Then this will print your payment batches, and we know that there are 2 batches, batch 1 with 2 entries. No, only 1 entry, and batch 2 has 3 entries. Entry number 2, entry number 3, to the next page, entry number 1. So it's actually in the order of the supplier's name, so that's why it's showing up and down. I'm going to export this again to a PDF, and that will be saved as posting. It's actually PJ, posting journal payments. Okay. So you finish printing the posting journals, and the last thing that I want you guys to print from is the aged payable as of January 31st. Print. Once you print it, this tells you that your accounts payable right now is 17,823, and you can export this into a PDF as well. And we're gonna name this as AP Aged 2020-01-31. Okay, so once we finish, now we printed all the reports that we needed. The other thing that you may wanted to print is a check register. I'm not asking you guys to do it, but if you guys wanted to print, you can print the check registered. It will show you all the checks that you have printed from the company, which is 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's actually again in the order within it's actually in the ascending order of the vendors. That's why it's showing up and down. But you can print these reports if you want, and it's actually is a great idea to have this one into the folder too. So this is check register. Okay, close it. Now once you finish, so technically you're done with the month end for the accounts payable. The next thing that I want you guys to do is I want you to set up these accounts, the accounts payable and a bank account, as a control account with the accounts payable. Okay, so the book has not asked you to do it up to this point, up to lesson 15, but I want you guys to understand how this is all linked. So if you go into the GL, under the GL accounts, I'm going to go into my bank account, which you guys already know that we already made this account a control account, but this is only controlled by BK. What I want to do is I want you to control this by accounts payable as well. So I want to have a source code as accounts payable too, because when you make a payment from accounts payable, it goes from accounts payable to the bank account, because the entry is debit the accounts payable and credit the bank account, so it has to accept the entry from the accounts payable module as well. So I click save. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my accounts payable account, and I'm going to make this account a control account as well. Now this control account will be controlled by accounts payable module. right? So now nobody will able to post any entry into this account in the general ledger. All the entry in this account will come from the accounts payable module. So save it, and now that account is being saved as a control account. Now in step number 41, what I want you to do is I want you to post all the entry that came in from accounts payable module and the bank. So now I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 batches in the general ledger, but they are all coming from other ledgers, right? So remember the rule of thumb I told you guys, that any batches that are coming from any other modules into a general ledger, they need to be posted in the general ledger, except it's a opening batch. So in this company there is no opening batches at all. So that means everything that need to come out from the general ledger from the other ledger to a general ledger has to be posted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it right to post to yes for all of them, and I click post all. So now this has sequence number 1 that was assigned for all the batches, and these batches has been posted. Now once these batches are posted, what you will do is you print a trial balance. So you go into a GL reports, look at the trial balance as of the end of the month, end of the January period. You see that this is your trial balance. So if you look at this balance, what you will see there is the accounts payable balance is 17,823, and if you see this one, that is the amount that you have in the AP aged payable as well. Okay, see this number is matching with the amount that you had in the accounts payable report. So that's what the accountant will check, that this is my accounts payable balance. They will come into the accounts payable monthly folder and make sure this number agrees with that. Then I print export report and I print OK, and I will save that as a report as a TB 2020-01 31st. Okay, then I'll close this. There is a one thing that I found, that there was a mistake that happened. Let me just double check. I'm just going to go into the AP transaction, and if there was a mistake, I actually, when I was preparing this, I did it for a purpose so that we can do some adjustments. Let me just double check up. So this is a furniture we purchased, booked to a right account, that's fine. We bought this food, we book it to cost of sales. Right, this was the one that I wanted to tell you guys. This was a mistake I didn't mention when I was recording this video. So this account that we have, we recorded a transaction on invoice 1234578, and this was a dining furniture we purchased. But when we booked it into 5001 account. So this is an error that accountant made. Okay, so when I'm an accountant, if I'm an accountant, I looked at the trial balance, I said that's a mistake. I should have not have that much of cost of sales, because I only bought $10,000 of the food yet. So then I find out that this was the error, that this was a furniture that we purchased, but it booked it to the wrong account, which is 5001. So now what I want you to do is I want you to correct this error in accounts payable. So that means I have to go back here and record that transaction under my adjustment batches, so which is right here. Now if you do this by yourself and you post it to the right amount, right account, you don't have to. So the main purpose for me to do this when I was preparing to record this way was because I want you to show how to record an adjustment entry. But if you're doing it by yourself and you post this Costco invoice into the right account, which is the furniture account, then you don't have to reverse the entry. There's no need to do the adjustment batch. So I'm doing it for a video purposes, so that way you know if you made a mistake, how do you correct it. So to correct, you come to the adjustment batch, and we're going to create an adjustment batch, and we're going to say adjustment for Costco invoice. And here we're going to select the vendor, which is the Costco vendor. And it's going to ask you which document do you want to adjust. it was the 124. See, the amount was 13,560, was 12,000 plus the HST. So I know that HST went to a right account. The only mistake was that was supposed to go to a furniture account, but he posted to the debit of 5,101. So the first thing I need to reverse 5,101. So I have to take it out from that. So therefore I'm going to credit the amount of $12,000, and it is supposed to book into the account which is the furniture account. So I press insert to go to the next line, and I'm going to find that furniture account which is 1,500. I'll debit that by 12,000. So I debit the furniture account to book then to right amount. I reverse that from the cost of sale takeout. Was it booked into a cost of sale takeout? I'll have to make sure that. Let's double check. We don't want to repeat this entry again. So let's go back into the entry number 3 is 5,100, and then we look at the invoice batches, the adjustment batches, and we are taking out from 5,100. Perfect. So now there's a debit and the credit. There's no change with the accounts payable. Add it. Now when I go into my adjustment batch, I see this entry with the 0 amount, and now I'm going to say right to post to yes and click post. Now I have posted, and my entry has been posted into the accounts payable batch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my journal ledger, look at my batch listing. There will be an extra batch that there. I'm going to say right to post and click post. Now this batch is posted as well. So now once we finish that, do I need to change the age report? The answer is no. The amount was in and out from the same entry. The only thing that I have to change now is my trial balance. So I'm going to go into print my trial balance again. Print it. And now what you see there is, see the furniture has been increased by 12,000 and your cost of sale was down by 12,000. Right? So I will save this one as my new trial balance, and I'll replace it with the new one. Okay. So now after you finish, this is the end of your accounts payable exercise. Okay. So once you finish this, you have all the reports that you want is right here. So you can save these reports, and if you are in my class, what I'm going to do is I'll post these reports online on your Blackboard, and you will have access to this, and you can do a comparison for yourself to make sure that these exercises that you did it right. Okay, so just remember that this is a great exercise for you guys to practice everything that you have learned from beginning till lesson 15. Okay, so this is the end of the class, everybody, and all these reports that are here, you guys already seen it. And if you guys need it, do contact me, and I will be able to help you out to see to get a report that you can compare with the answer. Okay, so this is the end of the lecture from the home practice exercise number 5. And if you are listening to this video and you like my home practice exercise, I'll definitely suggest you guys to subscribe to this channel, and I will be putting more exercise from Sage 300. But I think this is a great exercise for you guys to recap everything that you have learned from lesson 1 to 15. Thank you everybody for listening, and have yourself a great day and a great week. Thank you. Bye.